Gosh, I am laughing at my own self. Let's see. I feel like this week went by fast. Pin comment. You know, when Kanika was on this past Saturday, she talked about the importance of breath work to the max. I like that IG handle. I was just talking about last Saturday, Kanika from Black Fitness Women and Nikki Grow Fit was on, and she was talking about the importance of breathing. So right before you jumped in, I just started to take some breaths because it is very soothing and calming. You know, sometimes I used to think that type of thing was a bit new agey or something like that. But it's actually very good for us. Hi, Chanel. So good to see you. Hi, Shawnie. You're here. Shawnie, meet Chanel. She's from Chicago. And we met. That was this year, right? Right before the quarantine. I feel like it may have been like February or something like that. And it was so cool because we met through Instagram. I had said something like, you know, hey, if anybody wants to meet up and try out like a boutique gym, let me know. I know a lot of them and we can meet up because, you know, RaShawnda, I know a lot of like boutique gym owners here in Chicago. And for every day of the week, even people who do it on Sunday. And she DM'd me and was like, let's do it. And we met up in the, I guess, Southside Hyde Park, the Obama's neighborhood. And we went to this gym and we worked out and we were partners and it was cool. So I hope that you're doing well. And Chanel, this is RaShawnda. Thank you. As are you. I really appreciate that. And this is RaShawnda. We met in, was that 2011? Something like that. At one of the craziest jobs ever. It was crazy town. Now, I'm saying that because it's the truth, but also because everybody has had a job, and maybe some people have had more than one, where you were like, it was so crazy where you think, okay, am I crazy or they're crazy, or is this normal and I'm crazy? It was one of those kind of jobs. That's how we met. And she was just such a breath of fresh air, the most refreshing thing that had happened during the time that I had been there. And it was just a joy. And we've been connected ever since, even after she moved out of the state. Better Fasting, so good to see you. Hi, David. Great to see you here as well. So, y'all, I'm queuing. Hi, mujeres. I'm going to mess this one up. Fenomenales. ¿Cómo se dice en inglés? I don't know what that means. But I'm so happy that you're here. Guess what, y'all? We're talking about relationships tonight. You see this title that I put up here? Oh, I said it right? Okay. Relationships, the reaffirming versus, oh my goodness, that's what that means? Phenomenal women, mujeres fenomenales. I'm one. I love Cher. So happy to see you here. I'm queuing for those of you who have not met me. And I need to show more of myself on the page. You don't see me as much as you would if you check into these here stories sometimes. But I'm the content creator behind Wisdom for Well-Beings. And Wisdom for Well-Beings, we're growing, y'all, right? Thank you so much for being a part of it. Hey, Christy. And Wisdom for Well-Beings is the go-to place for grown women and the men who love them to get wisdom for their well-being. Now, when I'm talking about wisdom, I'm talking about spiritual insight, clarity, and sound judgment, life lessons learned, oftentimes a hard way, and then you take that and then you apply it to the information that you're getting about wellness, mental health, physical health, emotional health, because we have lived long enough to know that a lot of times information and knowledge is not enough. You have to have wisdom. And where Wise Well Women Live comes in, hi, a worthy woman I am, and my journey, great to see you here too, where these lives come in is we invite wise, well women on, such as yourself, and they're talking about their truths, their testimonies, their lessons learned the hard way, but wisdom gained out of them. And then they're sharing that with us so that we can apply that to an area of our own wellness. And let me tell you something that you already know, but tell me that I'm telling the truth here. Your relationships, they affect your wellness. Am I right about it? And I'm not just talking about heartbreak, loss of a loved one. I feel like we understand that those things really can hit hard on our mental health and our emotional health. But the way you are with your girlfriends too, with your sister circles, truth, I know, right? That will impact your mental health, your emotional health. It can disrupt your spirit. It can interrupt your sleep when things are off. And so talking about reaffirming relationships, which we're going to be doing with Shawn the Sunshine in just a minute. She's so lovely, y'all. It's really important. When I'm talking about reaffirming, I mean to affirm again. So when you think about affirmations, those of you who do affirmations, you are saying something about yourself to bring that into reality more and more and more, okay? And you don't even have to believe it when you say an affirmation or confession or whatever it is, a declaration or whatever you call it, because your conscious mind doesn't even know the difference. That's why affirmations are such a great spiritual principle tool type of thing. So let's say you are affirming, I am capable, I am competent, I can do this, I will get through this, I'm a great mother, I'm a wonderful wife, whatever your affirmation is, I'm a great leader. So you're affirming that, right? So reaffirm is that someone is really like confirming that. They're restating it. Their words and their actions with you restate that. So Shawn, who's going to be on here, RaShawnda, in a few minutes, she's a confident woman. So I, as her friend, if I am reaffirming her, I am treating her as such. I'm keeping my word to her. I'm being integrous with her. Hi, Jasmine. I am reaffirming her with how I act towards her. I treat her like her time matters. I treat her as if she's worthy, valuable, all those type of things. I am reaffirming what she has already affirmed and believes about herself. But it also works the back end way as well. Let's say a person does not recognize their value. They don't know that they're beautiful. They require a lot of validation in a lot of ways, you know, and we have all been that woman before. Tell me you didn't end up in a raggedy relationship doing that. And you look back and you think, how was I dealing with that? Why did I stay at that job that long? And they were stripping away my confidence every day. But you also had a lot of insecurities too. So they were just reaffirming that. Are you looking, you think, man, I cannot believe that I did not get out of that relationship any quicker than I did. They were reaffirming a lot of the insecurities. So it works both ways. Now we get into the raggedy end of it when it's like that. So we are going to be talking about having a grown woman conversation. Shawnie, would you click the two things? Well, actually, maybe I can come and get you. Let me. And by the way, since we can't do applause yet, I want you to do the hearts. Hi.
Hey girl, hey.
Hey, girl.
How's
How
it
are you feeling?
I
I know
feel
y'all had a
great.
storm in Atlanta. You're in Atlanta, right?
I am in Atlanta. I love Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. Is it still storming there?
I want to say like it's been raining a little bit off and on. We
Mhm.
were leaving directly as the storm took place. So
Okay.
we were running for our lives with the rain to our cars. But
And isn't that the beauty of natural hair, though? Because if your hair
that
gets wet, it doesn't mess up.
no, I think everybody
Okay.
should do it if you can. As who said that? It is actually Maya. Like right before she died, she was like, "Girl, 85 is it. Do it if you can. If
Mm.
you can have natural hair, do it if you can. Like, just go with it."
Well, it's so good to have you here. I always learn so much from you. Y'all, let me brag about her a little bit to give you a little bit of background. I call her like my little big sister. You know, there are occasions when I get to have someone on that I know in real life and get to share them with you. So she's like my little big sister. I used to call her Baby O, like O for Oprah. But now she's beyond that. Okay, so
Y'all are
she's
tripping. That's sweet. That is sweet. Thank you.
no, that's real. That's real. Like, I just really appreciate your insight. Hi, Maisha and Jen Fox. And the thing is, right now, a way that you can get involved in her work is that she does these Bible studies on Tuesdays called Let's Talk, where she focuses on a different woman from the Bible and talks about it in a very unusual way, a way that you wouldn't normally would. Things that you might miss, making it really relatable to like if that woman, so if Eve were here, if Esther were here, if Ruth was right here with us going through the quarantine, what would they be like? How would they be acting? Okay. That's what she does, and she brings that alive, and it's really great. So follow her at Sean the Sunshine, and you can be a part of that.
Hmm.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm a worthy woman. I am. Yes. So let's get into this though.
Let's do this.
Let's do this. Let's start with, wait, do y'all want to talk about reaffirming relationships first or raggedy relationships first?
I think we should go with the Raggities. So that we can get them out
Okay.
the way. Let's just go with the Raggities, and so we can get them out the way, so that we can
Okay.
end on a positive note.
Hi, Angela. Good to have you here. All right. So we're going to talk about raggedy relationships first. So if you have been in a raggedy relationship before, I want you to say me or raise your hand or do something or put some hearts up to thank God that he got you out, girl. Woo, child.
I raised both
My
hands.
God.
I put my foot up here.
My God. Oh, okay. What do you think? Okay, tell us, what is a raggedy relationship to you? Like, what, if you had to define as a scholar, what's a raggedy relationship? Am Worthy Woman says me in all caps. What's a raggedy relationship?
Oh my gosh. I think for me as a woman who has a very large personality, who loves to accomplish a lot of things, I have ran into raggedy relationships, both male and female, where me being in all my muchness makes people feel small. And then they try to make me feel
Hmm.
small too. And
Tell me
that
about
manifests
that.
itself in a lot of different ways, right?
Okay.
So it manifests itself in the jealous friend, right? Who can't be happy for you in any circumstance. It manifests itself in the overpowering man who like can't say like my girl is amazing. Like she can be smart and she can be beautiful and she can be kind and she can be wise, but they would use that to like snuff that out, right? So then like
Mhm.
small things about me, small flaws became the end all be all, and all they did was focus and figure out ways to be consistently negative about a lot of things. And I think that if you're a caring person, if you're a loving person, if you're a generous person, you don't want the people around you to hurt. So you can tend to lean out of all of your greatness and become small for them.
Is that what you have done before?
Totally. Countless times,
Mm.
endless times.
How
Um,
does that look in a let's start with men. I see some hearts so some people can relate. And when you talked about um, something being snuffed down, I felt that. I haven't heard it articulated like that before, but I can relate. Better Fasting says yes.
Yeah.
And you say your muchness because you do have a vibrant personality, but I think that the same is true even for those of us who might be more mellow, who have more of a quiet strength. It's even more alluring or something for some people to try to, see if they can bring it down because they may think that they can do that. They take your kindness for weakness. Chanel says in friendships for sure. Now that right there kind of does something to me, Chanel, because we'll get into that later, but it saddens me that women would want to treat other women that way. But tell us how that played out in relationships with men where you felt like you had to shrink yourself down.
So honestly, I think that, like, if you have a sort of kind of an interesting personality, like I attract also very powerful men. I do. I attract I attract the most incredible men. Like, I really do. They are powerful in their own right. They have amazing jobs. They are gifted in so many different areas of their lives. What they are sometimes wanting is not necessarily a mirror image of themselves. They are wanting they're wanting all of these qualities about you, but they kind of want to hoard them to themselves. You be great, but you be great in this small capacity in our house with our other friends, maybe. But when we're out in public, you be small for me so that I can be large in this room. That's kind of the way that that's manifested. I've also been in situations and relationships where I've made significantly more money than the men that I've dated. At first it started out like cool until
now, do you tell them that? And guys, what do you think about that? Hey, Nevada, ladies, what do you think about that?
I'd like to know that too. Like, what do y'all think about?
Yeah, what do y'all think? Like, and to the guys, there are a couple of guys in here. How do you feel about dating a woman who makes more money than you? Or ladies, what do your brothers and your guy friends say about that? Now it's interesting because I have a friend and he said, and he's a great guy like what you described, but he said, and he's just a friend. I just want to say that. Just because sometimes, sometimes people just want stuff to be something else and it don't have to be that, Right. So I just want to say that he has said that he would not want to date someone who made more money than him. Now he makes a lot of money. So I know there are women who do make more money than him. He just doesn't meet them very often. He's in a C-suite position at a major corporation. So he's making big money. And he says he would not date a woman who made more money than him. So ladies, what do you think? So Maisha says, Shawnie, she said, I don't discuss money matters too early. So Maisha, what would the conditions have to be for you? Better Fasting says, some men, they want to go along, get along type of woman. So Maisha, what was too early? Better Fasting says, real talk. It takes a very secure man. So how soon were you introducing things like, hey, I make Oprah money?
Well, here's the thing. I don't make Oprah money. Because if I did, child, let me tell you, I'm waiting for God to give me the level of character that needs to be developed for me to make Oprah money. Because when I do, I'm changing.
Hey.
I'm coming for them. Not early on, but I think that if there's a conversation that's had like third or fourth date, but I also think that there's when you're a woman who's kept in a certain way, there's a presence that just brings itself. You know what I mean? Like there's no way of hiding it. There's a presence that you bring to the table. And I don't think that, and so, it makes people question, it makes people ask. So people ask questions and I'm not a liar. So I tell you the truth. If you want to know specific details, we should wait. We should, like Janice said, let's wait a while, Um,
Love is too late. Maisha said, damn near engagement, girl.
amen, amen. Well,
Meaning, like, yeah, some
but we
stuff
need
she's
to. We
holding.
certainly need to be very serious. We need to be very
Mhm.
serious, and there also has to be a deeper level of trust there too.
Mhm.
Oh, my sister's on. Hey, Rox.
Hey.
So I think that there has to be a certain level of trust there too for me to be disclosing so many things. But like I said, there's just a presence that you bring into a room, and when people ask you what you do for a living, that kind of comes up naturally in
Okay.
and of itself.
Mhm.
So yeah.
What was an episode, speaking of this, give us an episode where you were maybe in this relationship because you maybe thought, I mean, we learned, we've grown, we've gained wisdom, but tell us about a time where you actually did proceed and you were in a relationship with someone who bit by bit was trying to shrink you down.
Oh, for
What was
sure.
something that happened that you finally were like, oh, uh-uh.
Well, I mean, I think I got out of a pretty long relationship. I was in that relationship for about almost 4 years or so, and I realized later, it's later rather than sooner, because people want to. Sometimes, like the men that I meet, they are exceptionally incredible, and they want to believe that sometimes they are better than they are. And so, like my ex, it took him probably until like around like year 2, year 3, when I really started to like kind of grow in my career. Things started working out really well for me at my job, and things
Mhm.
are kind of mediocrely kind of teetering along the lines for him. And so it was a really interesting thing, because that became like my security at work, my confidence, all of these things slowly but surely kind of became an issue for him. He became mean. There were comments, like remarks. um
Like what?
oh man, the kind of remarks that are just like, how people like do small certain subtle
Dig.
digs,
Mhm.
like it's only because your boss likes you. Oh, you work for a woman, that's why. um yeah, like, or like, just, it's all going to come crumbling down at any moment. And those things don't get too big for your britches. These kind of
Things to get you to second guess.
second guess,
Mhm.
and then also get me to second guess my character too. Like, get me to second guess, like, well, I've even had men that I'm not in relationship with tell me that women like me don't get married.
Girl,
Women like me don't get married.
we gonna come back. That's then made my nerves bad. Um, Nevada said, I've learned that there are many ways to contribute to your partner's well-being. It's not always financial. I think that as long as we better each other, the specifics of who makes more doesn't matter. I really want to hear from the men from that because that takes a mature man. Um,
I think
and
it
woman.
takes a mature
And woman.
man. And I have only experienced real security in this area with men who have real relationships with God. I've not
Mhm.
experienced it anywhere else. They have to
Wow.
have real, very clear relationships with God. And not only do they have real relationships with God, they are in relationship with other men who disciple them well.
Mm-hmm.
They are in
They have
accountability,
someone that they're accountable to.
and it's not women. It's women are not discipling these men. The men are discipling the other men. Like, hey, have you seen Shawnie? You tripping. Like, you tripping. Like, somebody gonna get her and it ain't gonna be you. You tripping, bro. You better correct this area of your life. Like, maybe you need to fast and pray. Maybe you need
Hmm.
to round up all your friends and go out in the woods and fast and pray. Like,
Yeah, I think that we should count it as a red flag if you, now we're just talking about dating relationships right now. We're going to get into friendships soon. And I want to hear from the men who are in here too. But I think you should consider it a red flag if you're dating someone who's not accountable to anybody. Nobody can check them. Nobody can have something to challenge them on. Maisha said, I don't like a man who's too preoccupied with it. And I think she was talking about we're talking about when you're bigger in your career or finances. But I also know secure men that want to see me win. But in the past, money was an issue unbeknownst to me. Now, isn't that something? That's why I don't like the preoccupation. It's a red flag. Yeah, that what you were saying, Shawnie, about.
I used to
Go
run
ahead.
away from the question of what do you do? I am, you know, if we're at a mixer, if we're having drinks, if we're out, you know, and we're having dinner, somebody's introducing me, I don't love the question, what do you do? Because I don't like that people use it as a qualifier. This is a qualifier of whether or not I can get something from you, not necessarily whether or not I want to get to know you, but it's a qualifier.
And that is independent of who it is. People do that in
male or
networking.
female, I don't like it. I don't like it. But like what I get from men and men, please talk, come through with the work. What is really always interesting to me is like, I'll tell somebody, oh, well, you know, you're the director of blah, 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 blah. Right. And I'll be like, oh yeah. And they'll be like, big boss, you must think. And I'm like, no, I don't. I am a kept woman of a very good father. That's all that means. That's all that means. And people assume things about you based on that. So I don't love that. But what are you gonna do? Those are all red flags.
Yes. Maisha said them church dudes though.
Oh, I love my brothers, so I can't.
You what?
I love my brothers, so I can't really go in on my church dudes.
Oh, we love them too.
But
we love them too. We pray and wish above all things that they will prosper and be in good health, even as their soul prospers. I will say this.
I feel like you use that scripture as a disclaimer. Oh.
No, this is what I'm saying. I'm saying for me, I can't pretend like, and I'm not, and I know that you are heavily involved in ministry in Atlanta.
I'm heavily involved in my
right, and so you don't have to say nothing. Let me say it. Let me say it. I will say that I have, and then I'll even say this goes for women too. I've come across more people who have been, let's call them opportunities to cultivate patience, opportunities to grow. Yes.
This is you are very diplomatic in that you maybe you should have been a politician.
Listen, if I have, let me say this, and again, and I'm going to be real polite because, child, if some of the stories, but I'm not going to do people like that. But I'm saying this, I've run into men in the church because I'm not willingly, like on purpose, like dating someone who like straight up has no interest in God, you know. Wow. But my experience has been that church dudes, because I think there's a difference between church folks and Christians. I strongly believe that. But these Pharisees, Sanhedrin, and Sadducees, they be hoeing just like the rest of them, lying like the rest of them, all this kind of stuff. I do not believe that that is God's best for us either.
I do not. And I think that I always have to take this back to lordship, right? And when you meet a man or a woman, you decide that we're going to build a friendship. In the course of the friendship, you see very clearly whether or not Jesus is Lord in certain areas of their lives.
Right.
I mean, it's super obvious, right? So like you meet the lusty guy. We all meet the lusty guy.
And there are no convictions there. Like that's how I judge. And when I say judge, what I mean is make a judgment for myself. If this is someone I would want to proceed with, doesn't mean that you can't be cordial with people. But I don't want to be in a situation where I feel like, okay, I don't need to wear this turtleneck, or not turtleneck, probably need to wear a turtleneck, but I don't want to wear like a deep
I don't need to wear this turtle. I need to wear a turtleneck in the middle of the summertime where it's 97,000 degrees outside in Chicago where the streets radiate heat because you got a lust problem. You better get yourself.
Yeah, that's right. It's not gonna keep it. Like,
it's not gonna keep it. The only thing
I
that's
used
gonna
to
keep
go
you.
to, let me not even say that. I will say this, there are certain ministries that I know of where you have to even have grown men, worthy women. It's like, how old are these men? 30 to
Wait,
50?
I'm sorry. Let me just take this down a notch. Age is not a sign of maturity. So if you made a 26-year-old that ain't doing it, you can meet a 46-year-old that ain't doing it. At what point do we conquer our Goliaths? At some point, you got to slay them. And if
Right.
you don't slay them at 25, you're gonna be slaying them. You're gonna be faced with the same problem over and over and over and over again. Like,
It goes for us too. And likewise, you could meet someone significantly younger than yourself, and that person be much more mature than someone 10 years older. You
absolutely.
know, we all know a very mature, I mean, yourself included, Shawnie, you know, we all know someone who is younger and they're significantly more mature. So we don't need to say that,
Or
oh, and
at the
better
same
fashion says
age as
try
maturity as
60.
somebody that's like
Same thing.
46. That's a
Mhm.
real thing.
Because
Yeah,
I remember at one point I was thinking, you know, to her point when she was like, how old are these men? I remember one time I was like, maybe I should just consider dating older men because they are probably way more mature. So let me see what these like well kept almost 50s are doing. You know what I'm saying? Let me 48, 49.
did it drive you to open a bottle of wine every night, like Olivia Pope, and just
It didn't even get to that. My cutoff game is extraordinary. So it didn't get there. But
amen, sis?
but yeah. Okay, so we said that Raggedy is someone that's gonna shrink you, make you feel small. They'll chip away. What's another one before we move into talking about the reaffirming ones?
Also relationships that don't cause you to grow at all. Like, I'm gonna pet all your demons and leave them in the corner. You know what I mean? Like, we can just they don't even have to be those relationships where like we fighting in the streets every day, or like you stole my man, or nothing like that. No, you're content to leave me in my mess and let me live there. You'll take me to
What
the
would that
mall.
look like when you say petting demons? Because when you say that, it makes me think like, hi, little demon.
Right, right, because they well behave when they real well kept, because they want to stay, they want to hang out. Petty
Mm-hmm.
demons is knowing that I'm a liar and I'm manipulative, and you never call me on my crap.
Ooh.
You know that I'm a
Okay.
liar and I'm manipulative. I've told you it. You know, um, you know that I got 5 or 6 dudes I'm sleeping with right now, but hollering I want a husband, and you content to leave me in my mess. There's no form of admonishment in our relationship. You can't hold me accountable. You don't care to hold me accountable. In fact, you'll leave me alone to my own destruction. Those are also raggedy relationships. When I think about really good relationships, not only am I free to be myself, but I'm also free to be delivered from the thing that I've been living in for a long time because it no longer serves me.
Mm.
You help
Wow.
me be delivered from that. Raggedy relationships is you know, that man that I'm dating means me no good at all. Only means harm for me. But you'll leave me in that relationship because, girl, if you like it, I love it.
I've heard that.
You know, it ain't me.
Mhm.
But that's not a one another relationship either. We should be looking out for one another. And some of these raggedy relationships will just be like, oh, it's kind of
Why
like
do
the
you
friends
think?
that'll leave a booger in your nose.
And then you get in the mirror and you're like, wait a second, this was here the whole time. I had spinach in my teeth the whole time and nobody ever said anything.
Yeah.
Why do you think it is? And ladies, gentlemen, feel free to comment. Thank you for hanging in here with us. Want to say hi to Katanya and to Yinka.
Hey.
Y'all, this is Shawnie. She does a lot of work around applying the principles from the Word of God, specifically around episodes in the life of women there, to our real world experience. And so right now we're talking about reaffirming relationships versus raggedy relationships. And I'm curious to know, Shawnie, why do you think, and I can say this because I've been this person, why do you think it's so hard for us sometimes to call people out on their stuff? I know that takes a lot of courage from me. What about you guys who are listening? Do you do that freely and easily? Because that's something that it takes so much for me to call someone out. And specifically when I'm the one being hurt, because I let a lot of stuff slide. So if you're not being a good friend to me, you won't even know that I'm bothered necessarily because I have remained the same to you as far as you can tell. You won't even know that I'm hurting. And so by the time I say something to you, so much time has passed. And I'm in therapy, by the way. So I'm working on my issues, and I strongly believe in having Jesus and therapy. But
I do too.
Yeah, what do you think that is? And what about you guys? Yinka, Katanya, Maisha, Nevada. How is that for you? Do you feel like that? Maisha says we should look out for each other, but if a person wants to stay in that place, you can't make them.
So I think that we should look out for each other. And if a person wants to stay there, you know, your only obligation is to pray for them. That's it.
Okay.
And I
better than say, I'll cut somebody off before I call them out. Been there.
So here's the hard thing.
The background.
So here's the hard thing. James 1:12. I love James. James is my guy. Like, if you haven't read it, do it, because James will get you right. But James 1:12 says, "Blessed is the man who remains steadfast under trial. For when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life, which God has promised to those who love him." Right? I can apply that scripture directly to my relationships. Queuing, if you are doing something that hurts me, I should be able to tell you, and our relationship should stand the test of the trial. It should stand. How do you know you're really loved if you can't tell somebody, you hurt me? Please don't do that again. You know, we teach it to our kids. A kid goes into a playground, somebody hits them. If you a good, I don't want to say good mama, but what you would say is, why don't you tell the teacher, or why don't you tell your friend, hey,
these kids today are not doing that. They say, my mama said if somebody hit me, knock them out.
Well, right, because
I'm a teacher, so I know.
The same children are being raised by the people who are in the cutoff culture. Love is long suffering, friends.
But I think we have perverted that. And when I say perverted that, I mean twisted it to, like, we might think long suffering means you take it. Think about this whole ride or die culture, and you see these posts and they're like, you got to be willing to stand by him. You got to be willing to stand by her when the times get rough. Now, and the times rough is not money coming up short or deaths in the family. It's crazy stuff like a shootout, or you kept the drugs at your house or something like that. Or, you know, outlandish things, or waiting for his divorce to go through, or waiting for her to leave her baby daddy, or whatever. And it's like this whole ride or die, this you struggle love. And so people will think that's long suffering. And thank you, Maisha. Maisha had made a point that you have to communicate if someone's, you know, hurting you. You have to let them know. You don't have to suppress it. And that's a learned behavior that I learned at an early age, that in my 40s, here I am climbing out of that.
Okay, so let's define long suffering, right?
Okay.
From a standpoint that people can understand it.
Mm-hmm.
If it is immoral, that is not long suffering. That is just suffering for the wrong cause, right? If I'm sitting around helping you cheat on your wife, knowing that I'm waiting for you to get divorced, that's just suffering. You know what I mean? In hopes to get a ring. Let's be clear about that. And
we were singing songs about it growing up and didn't even know. I was grown when I realized Whitney Houston's "Saving All My Love for You" was her with somebody else's husband. You've got your family and they need you there. And now I'm like, wait a second. I tried to resist being last on your list.
I recently just rewatched Waiting to Exhale. And do you know, majority of them characters on there was married? I don't think my mama knew that when she was taking me to go see that with them. But all of them characters, what is it? The one lady got left for the white lady. Then the other lady, like, it was one. Gloria was the only somebody on there that was dating somebody that wasn't married.
I don't even remember that. So Gloria was Loretta Devine's character?
Yes. She was the only one dating somebody that wasn't married, girl.
Oh my God.
That's too much. So long suffering is not waiting for somebody to get divorced. Long suffering is not suffering abuse from anyone. Long suffering,
including emotional, mental, verbal.
None of that. Long suffering is not like, I'm just going to wait until my narcissistic boyfriend completes his 78th visit to therapy. No, run. Literally, get out of your car. Get out of the car with them and run.
It's also not staying in a situation that is not defined. In a whole relationship. Maisha says, I am not called to stay in a relationship with someone who irritates me consistently. It is not a match, friends or more. Dr. Grant said, people receive their validation sometimes through ride or die mentality.
Well, here's the question with that. Let's ask the good doctor, is ride or die mentality when somebody will ride or die, you'll ride or die for someone and that person won't ride or die for you? Because, I mean, I also live, the Bible is my standard. And the Bible says, you know, no greater love than a friend would lay down his life for his friend. But that's a reciprocation thing. That's happening reciprocally in the relationships that I have. The ones that I cultivate and the ones that I maintain. And you have to know whether these people are reason, season, lifetime people. Some people are not deep friendships that you should be cultivating. You should not be building friendships with certain people.
Like, talk more about that. Let's stay right there for a second.
So has anybody, a really good book to read is The Four Loves by C.S. Lewis. This is an oldie but a goodie, right? It talks about friendship love. It talks about love with God. It talks about erotic love. It talks about all these different kinds of loves. And once you get through all of these stages of just evaluating, that's why friendship building is so long term. Like, you evaluate stages, you know, little bit by little bit, queuing. I trust you with a secret. I ask you to pray over it. I look up, does the whole church know my business? Well, now we have boundaries. Now we need a boundary. I look at what you cultivate in me and in our friendship little bit over little bit over little bit. I tell you, we talk about things that are important to me. I tell you, you know what, like when I was a kid, I suffered from, you know, a lot of just bullying. And as a result, I'm an adult who's working through low self-esteem. Can you be somebody who affirms me and tell me that I do a good job? Or no? Are you going to be somebody that use that information to pick at me and talk about, you know, all kind of other things that's wrong with me? Take some time and evaluate, does this friendship affirm me? Does it make me feel good? Am I growing? Like, am I growing in my gifts? Am I growing in my calling? Am I growing in my purpose? Are you supportive? If it matters to me that you show up on my Instagram live to love on me and high five me and to push some hearts, are you there? Those are your deep relationships. The other ones, you can count them as acquaintances and leave it alone.
Ooh.
Lower your expectation. You're not my friend.
That's a great point, because sometimes we will keep these great expectations, these high expectations, for people who have kind of let us know, y'all, that the bar needs to be low. That it needs to be low. I see some hearts for that. But we keep it high. And this really goes for family dynamics sometimes too. And people will say things, but we supposed to be first cousins, or that's my sister, but she won't even, or that my own mama, or that's my daddy, but
Me and my
I think this
sister-in-law,
is,
me and my sister-in-law about a year or two ago, we had a hard conversation, in which we came to the understanding, because I mean, you know, my sister-in-law is my sister-in-law. She's married to my baby brother. My baby brother is just gonna be my baby brother, and I try to love her the same, but at the same time, it's my baby, you know. And I also told her too, you're married. There are things that I cannot talk to you about, and there are things that I cannot teach you. I don't have the wisdom for them because I haven't cultivated that in my life. I'm not married, right? So having to tell her, I can't be your Naomi. You got to go find somebody else to be your Naomi, helped her lower the expectation that she had for me as her big sister in that area of her life. Now, can I play with my nieces? Can I hang out? Can I high five them? Can I all those things? Yes. But she put a boundary in this area of her life that's very healthy for our relationship. It allows us to love each other more. And it doesn't make her love me less. It just is, now I have a boundary in this area of my life. You got to be able to say those things out loud so you can grow, or else resentments develop.
and when you think about friends, and I want to point out Dr. Grant's, Dr. Grant is a psychologist. She has contributed so much to this platform. Grateful for her. She says that sometimes people compartmentalize friendships. They have a friend for one thing versus a friend for another thing. And Maisha says, I think you only need a handful of real friends. Sometimes we assign the friend word to acquaintances or folks who you're just meant to be cool with. If that ain't the truth, right there.
So one of the things that I'm learning about friendships too is they need to be mutual, right? If I'm calling you my best friend, you should be calling that back too. Because we sat down.
Oh no, she froze. Okay.
We sat down.
That's okay.
No, I'm back. I'm back.
Okay.
We sat down and we had a conversation about our relationship and what it was doing, you know, where it was going, and where it is that we both had a joint vision for this relationship to go. We talked about it, right? And so we need to have those open, honest, transparent conversations. I like what's the guy from the Transformation Church? I can't think about his name right now, but he says that they're hot relationships. Michael Todd. They're hot relationships. They're honest, open, and transparent. So it's an adult reaction. It's a mature reaction to a friendship to say, where is this going? What is this in my life? Like, I also have a few different types of friendships too, right? I have what I would call mentorship relationships, where they're friends and I really like them, but I'm mentoring them. We're at some point in time, I'm mentoring. So my expectations are here. I have horizontal relationships where Hewing and I, we're on the same playing field. I can get advice from you. I can love you. We can talk back and forth. You know, that's the expectation there. And then I have vertical relationships where somebody is mentoring me. Those relationships are super important to me because they're giving me insight into a direction and a dimension that I have not been yet, but I'm trying to get to.
Yeah.
All of these relationships, they know who they are. They know what they are, and they know who they are. And I'm not asking for them to be anything less. Or more. And if they grow in a really organic kind of a way. But they all give me something. There's always an equal exchange. What about
someone else said? Yeah, someone else mentioned that that theirs flows. It's more of an organic thing. Yeah.
You gotta have chemistry with the people that you're getting along with, right? Some of them I seek out. Like my vertical relationships, you have a level of faith that I can imitate in some kind of way, right? You got a great marriage. You got a great job. You maintain good relationships with your bosses. You navigate the world in a way that I like. You know, you go out there and, for lack of better words, you find yourself an Oprah. You're going to be like Oprah. And if Oprah decided she was going to be your friend and mentor you, girl, Go with open.
Okay. But see, I wouldn't consider that a friendship though, if the person's mentoring me. It's kind of like how, like, I'm in awe of people who were friends with their mothers or their parents when they were kids. I'm not talking about having this rich friendship now, you know, now that we realize, oh, they're people, you know.
Yeah.
I could not understand the kids at school who their mom was their best friend. My mama would tell me, I'm not one of your little friends. I'm not your friend. Right, little friend. I am not one of your little friends.
I'm not.
Get from around grown folks.
Amen.
Okay? That kind of thing.
You better leave the room when grown folks have a conversation, yes.
Okay. So I don't consider like the mentorship level like friendships or whatever. And I am now recently starting to think in terms of, wait a second, this person, like Maisha said, this person is actually really not my friend. This person is an acquaintance. This person is someone that I'm really cool with. But this person is probably not meant to be in my life like a friend. Not when I think about what friendship is and how I've seen it modeled for us in the Word, how I've seen it modeled by people that I esteem in my life. And speaking of which, as we begin to close, who would you say has really modeled friendship for you? And you may have not even known that at the time.
So funny enough that you mentioned that, coming off of what it is that we just talked about, was one of my vertical relationships. One of my vertical relationships is my pastor's wife. Her name is Christina Maldonado. What I love the most about our relationship is this. While I am going to her for advice, she is humble enough to receive advice from me, no matter what. What that is doing in turn is also modeling something that I want to do and what I want to be, which is in my mentorship relationships. I don't assume to know more than you. I assume that I have a level of skill that I can then provide some insight to. But what she models for me is, one, she'll come get me from wherever I am. Sad, bad, mad, indifferent. She is not only going to allow me to be vulnerable with her, but she's going to be vulnerable with me too. She's going to say, babe, I've been there. In fact, I was just there with my husband yesterday. Like, I really almost killed him yesterday. And we had to call and get help from somebody yesterday. Yesterday, I was not a good friend to my husband. Yesterday, I was not a good friend to my kids. Yesterday, I lost it. And then that makes the respect level so much deeper. And then she also affirms and gives value to me by saying, you know what, Shawnie, my kids are going to really need you one day, because I'm going to be their mom and you're going to be their mentor friend. Like, when I think about that, I think about the way that I'm also loved in a very hard way too. I'm expected to be better. I'm expected to be held accountable. There are no demons in any crevices or corners of this house that she is going to pet. I'm grown, and somebody has a key to this house. I'm grown, and there's no man in my house after 11 o'clock at night. I'm grown, and when I don't pick up the phone at 10:30, somebody assumes something is going down and they coming over here to knock on the door like the police. Like, and she's one of them people, being clear. But she also just like trusts me to be, oh my God, her and her husband, they say the most amazing things to me. They said, when I told them about feeling like I needed to be small from my Raggedy relationship. And I said, well, one of my fears is I'm going to have to be really small to get the man that I want. And so she told me, her and her husband, they sat me down and they said, Shawnie, run as fast as you can. Be as large as you want to be. Do as many things as God is telling you to do. And you'll look up and you'll be like, hey, boo. You know, like, that is huge. Those things, you can't buy them. And when you have real love like that in relationships, that ain't Raggedy. I don't even know if it's reaffirming. To be honest, it's divine.
It is. I believe in divine connections. Y'all, thank you so much for being here as we talked about reaffirming versus raggedy relationships. So before we end this, I'm going to give you this last question from Chanel, and then we will end. You will have, I'm going to give you 2 minutes, Shawnie, to answer this. And it says, do you notice a difference in the behavior of childhood friends, so friends you've known since childhood, versus the friends you've made as an adult?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Right. So I've got a childhood best friend, I've got a college best friend, and I've got a current Shawnie best friend. All met me at all 3 different stages of my life. Right. My childhood best friend, I love her to death, but she's trapped in knowing who I was as a child. Right. My college best friend is growing with me, and it's expansive. My right now best friend supports my spiritual growth and elevation in a way that I've never experienced before. All of them together, it's kind of like my holy trinity of friends, you know. They're one of them is laughing with the kid that's in me. One of them is supporting the kid, the you know, teenage 20-something-year-old that was running around Chicago and being ratchet. And and the other one says, don't be too ratchet, girl. Let's get a balance going on.
Yeah, I love that.
Love that.
What about you, Chanel? And what about you guys? Like, I love that I still am in touch with my friends that I made in daycare. Like, we have a current chat. Christy might still be in here, Christy of I Am Chic. We met in like 2nd grade, you know, and still just love me. Like, oh my God, you talking about just love, just love. And then you think about, like you said, like the people you've met in these different transitions in life. We need them all. It is, I know you guys know this, but I just want to say it. My journey says me too. It is a blessing. I know you won't take it for granted, but I feel like this needs to be said. It is a blessing if you have even one. Like Maisha said earlier, you only need a few. But if you don't even have a few, if you got one good friend, you had mentioned Naomi and Ruth, it was just the 2 of them. If you've got one, y'all, you are winning in life. Maisha says, I've known my BFF since I was 11.
Wow. People don't last that long, girl.
Y'all are still in it. And when you think about it, there are certain things, when we talk about what have we seen modeled, there are certain things that those childhood best friends that are still current, that they have modeled for us, even when they didn't know they were doing it.
Yeah.
That those things matter still even today. Chanel said, I have one friend that has been my bestie since 7th grade. She has evolved with me, and my other bestie I met at 20. Love them with my core. Yes.
Yeah, that's a blessing.
So yeah. And I believe that God can still give you friends. If there's someone on here and you're listening to us and you're like, man, I feel like I don't even have that. Or maybe something happened and you have lost someone that was really close to you and they were your best friend.
Yeah.
God can do that for you.
Yeah, for sure.
He sure will. Well, thank y'all so much for being here tonight. Shawnie, thank you. Didn't I tell y'all she's like the little big sister? So follow her. Let me put her stuff back up here. You're going to follow her at Sean the Sun Shine.
Sean and the Sun.
And yeah. And I want you, and I'll be in there too on Tuesday at her Tuesday. We're still doing Esther. All right. So go to her page to get the info, because she has to send you a link for you to get in the Zoom. Also, Shawnie, before Instagram counts us down, Better Fasting wanted you to know that God is going to do it for you, that he's going to send you your husband. That's a word that she spoke for you.
Send him in this season.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. I received that. Thank you so much, Better Fasting. He's here. Yes. Hopefully.
Thank y'all. Tomorrow night, we're going to be talking about envisioning. So remember we said how God can send you, he can send you your friend, he, you know, all this stuff. Alicia Bradley is one of the top coaches in Chicago, and she is going to be walking us through some envisioning exercises, really daydream time tomorrow. So that's 6 p.m. All right. See y'all later. Thank you, M Worthy Woman. Appreciate y'all. Bye.
Bye.